So it's Friday, everyone. Hello to all my support Fiber friends, my nerdy health friends. I'm doing something new and unique today, just testing it out as well. Broadcasting live to the Support Fibromyalgia Network social media accounts and my nerdy health media accounts, just to say, tune in. Something unique with Friday swaps. So we're going to do some Friday food swaps, just keep it brief. And answer some questions. If you're tuning in live, let me know where you're tuning in from. Drop and say hello. If you're watching the recording, feel free to post your questions as they come in as well, and I'll be sure to check back into this video and take a look to see if there's any questions. It's something new I'm trying out, and there's a lot going on in the background. I keep testing technology, and I'm trying to get better at this, and I'm also trying to get better at sleep. It's been a long week, so I wanted to make sure to just check in with all of you, see how you're doing, any other ways that we can support you. I'm currently trying to figure out my sleep once again. It just seems like when it comes to sleep, I get on a good pattern of what kind of supplements and routines, and then it works, and then it just suddenly like stops working. And I'm trying to dive in. Parts of it might be doing to like different aspects of stress, which I need to go into a deeper dive and work on, but other aspects I'm really confused. So there's been some less restorative sleep lately, and I keep diving into that. And I just get a lot of questions too on how to share that content. And people are constantly messaging me and private messaging me through the accounts or through my personal accounts in social media as well. And I'm happy to try to answer. And I figure if there's a lot of frequently asked questions, I might as well jump on and do the live broadcast to try to share the content with people. I keep assuming maybe this knowledge is widespread and out there, but it still might be fun to share with our community because it's a different perspective rather than seeing some of the other communities as well. I have been thinking about doing some more mini meetups in September, maybe have some special guests on certain topics, keep it really small, try out either small Zoom sessions or Kumi space sessions where we can kind of gather maybe less than 30 people, maybe even less, where we talk about a particular topic. Maybe in something like this that I'm about to do is just some food swap ideas. You bring it to the table or we learn a particular topic. Like we learn how to just read food labels or something like that, or we have fun, maybe have something like a comedy night or a laughter night or a game night. So I'm exploring those ideas with some other advocates as well, because I would love them to come in as guests and we do these mini meetups together so that we can have some private sessions, just enjoy the time. I know there's a lot of stress going on. So how can we experience things a little differently through virtual space and just detach, and have some fun and enjoy each other's support. It's not going to be a support group. It's more of something where there's a topic of conversation or some activity that we can really focus on maybe to get us started. And then we just develop conversation and relationships from there. So that's something in the works. But I got a lot of questions recently on different food swaps, in particular food swaps for like pastas. Some people have been trying gluten-free pastas and it's still upsetting their stomach. There's a lot of different ingredients when you look at it. So the biggest thing is like when you're shopping or before buying, if you're doing Instacart or anything like that, read the ingredients and try to figure it out and discern, because some of the gluten-free pastas have a really still high glycemic index, and there's a lot of things that they may have added in there to take out in order for it to be gluten-free. I've seen some really interesting substitutes for there with like a lot of cornstarch, some soy-based products. So it just like, if they take something out, they usually have to replace it within that. So trying to really read the ingredients and take that time. I know with brain fog, it gets a little difficult, but that's why if you have some products you really like and enjoy, and you stick to it, and sometimes with shopping, you may not have enough energy as well. One thing we used to do pre-pandemic days was if my boyfriend was going to the grocery store, he'd always ask like, how can I help? Can I get you anything? And I'm like, of course I always needed stuff, but I was always hesitant to be a burden and just explain to him. So one strategy we did was we started taking pictures of the food that I could do, the food that I could eat and handle if he was going to the grocery store. So I took pictures, we put it in a Trello board. So we always had it on his phone so he could reference like, this is the brand, because I'd always done research on it. Of course, you always have to keep checking the ingredients because brands do change, but at least it made it easier for him to shop. Now it's a whole new experience too, because it's just, there might be a lot of stress you're trying to grab. There's decreasing grocery supplies, at least where we're at. or if I'm shopping through Instacart or some delivery system, it gets complicated and they don't always include the ingredients. So what I've been trying to do is experiment at different shops for all of you too, to see what kind of things that like Walmart, Aldi, Costco carries that we can utilize. So one thing I did find recently at Sprouts, and was this impasta substitute. So I've always been kind of like, okay, so the gluten-free stuff you have to like look at, maybe has a lot more carbs than what you can handle or even digest. Because again, they put more stuff in there that might inhibit some of the digestion for you. It might be harder for you to digest, especially if you have a crabby stomach like I do. And we're always trying to figure out how to add some more vegetables to our lives. So think about substitutes there, like zucchini. I just shared the spaghetti squash, anything that like maybe has that vegetable component. And I know maybe I'll go into another video where we talk about substitutes where it's gluten-free pasta, but sometimes they're using like cassava flour. They can use things like brown rice, but again, you always have to read the ingredients. So when I find vegetable-based stuff that's easy to kind of cook, it's helpful. And just to let people know, I'm not a natural born cook. I relied a lot on using a blender and smoothies for a majority of my life. I didn't really get into cooking until like my late 30s. So it was really difficult, but I still struggle with it. So I know a lot of you have mentioned like energy, trying to get enough energy after shopping to cook and all these things. And I also have dexterity type issues. I don't know what it is, and terrible knife skills that it just seems like you give me a knife and it's like, oh, there, I just cut my finger. So this struggle is real. I tend to default again to a lot of smoothies or soups or stuff that is easier to eat. And that was one thing that came up too in our food access survey, is just stuff. So I just want to give a shout out to like this impasta and share with you. So it is just, the ingredients is just spaghetti squash on the back. But the unique thing was I found it on sale at Sprouts, which I always do. I look at all the sales at the stores. If you are looking to shop at Sprouts, I recommend just buying things that are always on sale. Otherwise, it can be pretty pricey. And I found this on, and it needs to be refrigerated. But the awesome thing was the other night is you just have to heat it up in the microwave. And it tasted great. So it's just spaghetti squash in there. It needs to be refrigerated. And it worked really well. I'm trying to see where like the direct. So you just scoop the noodles out, it says from here, and then just like heat in the microwave. Yeah, microwave heat squash 1 minute on high. You can also do it on the stovetop. You can with your favorite sauce just to warm, but we tried it in the microwave. It tasted great. And what we did was that night we did a comparison too, because one of the other foods, and if you are a member of Costco, I like solely, so it's organic. It's just spaghetti squash in here. That's it. And you can heat this up on the stove in hot water, and it does really well. So what we did was we did a comparison test between these two, which is easier. I mean, I was like, okay, I could just heat that up in the microwave. Okay, cool. If you're by yourself and you don't have to like tempt anyone with fussy tastes, it totally works, right? So solely is another one. So the Costco is, if you can go to Costco, and I'm not sure if Sam's Clubs or other Walmarts has it, but I do know that this one was from Costco. It's very affordable to get, considering what you don't have to do. Obviously, if you grab a spaghetti squash, it is the cheapest road to a spaghetti squash like meal with sauce and all of that as well. But I know that you have to take time to cut it up and turn it into the spaghetti that you need, or the pasta looking spaghetti squash that you need in order to make it into a meal, which when you don't have a lot of energy and you're a lot of pain, it can take some effort. So this is something, if you want to look at, you can consider. I know the Whole Foods and other has like the smaller boxes, so you can see the difference between the Costco. It's a little bit thicker, and I think this one from Costco makes 10 servings, and the other ones from Whole Foods and stuff with the smaller box is 4 servings, but it ends up being about the same price, honestly, as going to Costco. So if you can get it from Costco, that's a good deal. And then you just, like I said, I'm not a trained chef. So if anyone out there has some pasta sauces or easy ways, you can use fresh tomatoes with basil. That's what we do when we have fresh tomatoes in the garden. You can saute or take the time to make your own sauce. I love hearing from people that have this background and love making sauces together. Or one thing is you just grab, what I do when I'm really busy is just grab the bottles of sauces and put it on. This is Foddy brand because their whole line of food doesn't have onions and garlic. I have major sensitivities to onions and garlic. So I have to read the labels because everything has onions and garlic, onion and garlic powder, even the healthy stuff. It makes things very, very difficult. That's why cooking from scratch is super important for me. But it takes a lot more time and it can take a lot more energy. So that's why it's difficult. It's a challenge. So I was excited to find the Foddy pasta sauce, and they also have other dressings. I'm really loving their balsamic vinaigrette dressing because it has no onions and garlic, but they use olive oil as well. All healthy ingredients, stuff that I can use, stuff that doesn't bother my digestion too. But I know that they have like cans of this, like tomato San Marzano. This one I got from Walmart, so I've been trying to like shop at different stores, even virtually. One of the things I wanted to do pre-pandemic was to do grocery tours with people, either virtually or in person, before the pandemic. And I know when I went on the road and visited different cities, that's one of the things that we did at the workshops. Besides talk about functional medicine, we did grocery tours to anyone that could come. I'm like, let's go to the grocery store and like help you learn how to shop. Let's read labels. Let's experiment with recipes. Let's like share recipes with each other. So I thought it was just super important when it came to that pre-pandemic. So now I'm trying to figure out how to do it virtually with all of you and enjoy some time with that. But you can see there's different ways. And if anyone has a good recipe, please share. I also know that some people may have to take out nightshade. So tomato sauce might not work for you. So something is like basil using for a pesto, making a pesto sauce instead with basil and fresh basil and using it that way. If anyone else has other suggestions of what they use or recipes without nightshades, definitely share. But we stocked up on some of these cans. So like the organic whole peeled sauces, so you can just dump it in. Like I said, it's much easier if you're just cooking for yourself and you have no energy, and you just like plop it in. But it's a good way, I guess, with the substitute of spaghetti squashes or zucchinis to just get more vegetables in and not be as high on the glycemic index as some of those gluten-free pastas that you have to boil, and you really have to read the ingredients. So I just wanted to share a few of those with you. Again, I was really happy to see that the impasta took no time. It tasted just like the soli in that sense. We did a comparison even with the family as well. Nobody really noticed the difference. We added the tomato sauce. You can either add meat to it with the tomato sauce and cook it, but I thought that would be just helpful food swaps. And if this is stuff that you are liking, and like I said, maybe we do a mini meetup and just share some of the resources we've been finding out there for helping us get more nutrition into our lives, and just help with like reading labels, because it gets really tricky. I mean, there's a lot of marketing on the front that you have to like watch for, because like even if it's gluten-free or organic, always turn around that and read the ingredients label. It's super important, because even with its keto, if you've noticed, they have a lot of substitutes for sugar. But the problem sometimes too is if you have digestive issues, which again, I will say I totally do, with the keto products, so you have the sugar alcohols, right? But then you have the fiber mixed in. So really could make you run to the bathroom or create a lot of digestive distress and bloating. So this is why you kind of always have to read the ingredients, understand what some of those ingredients do, especially the sugar alcohols, because they draw water in to the colon. So it could create a lot of bloating and running to the bathroom. So it's always about reading labels and understand. But if you like certain products, definitely share them with everyone. And I'm reaching too, because I do want to do a cookie haul. So this brand Siete is one of my favorites too, and Simple Mills. So I've been looking at different things. I know pre-pandemic I was super hyper focused on the Walls Protocol, cooking from scratch. I wasn't getting much from packages or reading anything like that. But during the pandemic, things changed. I started to find I was getting a little snackier. Needed some comfort food, but didn't want to completely fall off charted areas and go for. But even like stuff like this, like if you just wanted to like find out different cookies, definitely if you can get these on sale, get them on sale when you can. But it's always reading the ingredients. I mean, this is grain-free flour blend, almond flour, tapioca flour, arrowroot flour. And I know it's hard to figure out like what you can handle. That's why it's like trying them at first. See, there's some pretty tasty substitutes out there. But again, just read the ingredients. If you know you're sensitive to certain things, it's always important to read the ingredients. If you're not sure if you're sensitive to things, that's why just taking, documenting, or reading the ingredients, especially when you're adding new stuff. Food journaling is super helpful. I see we have some different questions coming in. So this is interesting. So is there a treatment for fibromyalgia with functional medicine? Functional medicine is a passion of mine in the sense of root causes and looking at it. So there's argument's sake, depending on who you see it, with different providers, that they have the treatment protocol for fibromyalgia. Now, I'm going to be very much in the middle. I think it's a good road to take, but I'm going to also say it's not a perfect road. So sometimes the inconsistencies with functional medicine would mirror a lot of what we see in conventional medicine, especially when it comes to supplements. So this is an interesting pattern. I favor towards more of the Walls protocol, Bredesen protocol, especially Walls protocol, because she likes to go with food first. Because the cost of supplements can be a lot, right? You're filling in the need of nutrient deficiencies, but you might be spending a ton of money per month to keep up with the supplements that your functional medicine provider. It reminds me of what providers do with us in more of the conventional setting, right? Here's the medication to treat the symptoms. So you keep hopping around to specialists and you keep getting more medication to treat your various symptoms. In functional medicine, I've kind of noticed that it's like, okay, well, instead of medication, here are all the supplements that you need to take, and it's a costly road. So I do like providers that tend to lean towards food first. Let's add some more vegetables to your life. Let's meet you where you're at and where you are with the journey and go there first. There is still some bias. It's not perfect in functional medicine about what fibromyalgia is. Some people go down a very different route. Again, it seems a lot more familiar territory into conventional medicine. I have my own ideas and how functional medicine can be used. So, I mean, I did a topic on functional medicine, but I would love to do a deeper dive in functional medicine from what we can do as a patient community more to embrace functional, but understand those fundamentals, because I think it gets skipped over, or I think it gets diluted in what the root causes are for personalized precision medicine. So again, we have to go back to this personalized perspective with each one of us. We're genetically made differently. We have a timeline that differs from each other, even though our diagnosis is the same. So understanding that concept, I think functional medicine sometimes gets diluted when we understand that. And if you get the right provider in there, they can really do a deep dive into your timeline and see maybe where they need to start a little differently from where fibromyalgia is kind of classified and the definition. And if they can try to move away from the bias of what's instilled and start thinking a little differently, that's the most important way. But there is no specific treatment that I've noticed within functional medicine for fibromyalgia. Like I said, there's some experts that believe they have the right path, and that's the only way to go. But again, each of us are different. It's personalized. And even in my journey, I had to biohack myself because I'd gone to functional medicine providers. I wasn't getting better even seeing them, but I was spending a whole lot of money on supplements. So for me, it was finding that right combination of even supplements for nutrition, where I was missing lifestyle changes. Sleep is a huge one in there for me too, but I can't necessarily take a lot of the conventional stuff. So what approaches do I need? And it's a lot. It's a deep dive. So I hope that helps answer your question. I'd be happy to do more functional medicine talks from a different, maybe even a biohacking perspective, to empower all of you out there to understand the fundamentals. Because I think right now it's still trying to catch up, and especially with fibromyalgia and the basis, we need to expand our thinking on fibromyalgia instead of putting everyone into one particular box. We all have the same diagnosis, but how we got here is very different. So taking a look at that and how we react to different things, how we respond, is critical, and what you're willing to make changes for your lifestyle, what's needed. It's going to vary from each person to person. And I think there's a good start And I'm definitely pushing in the functional medicine world to have a better path. But yeah, I mean, they have the clearest path for some of the fibromyalgia that I've seen. But, I can't fault like naturopathic medicine, integrative medicine. It really depends on the provider and how they're willing to look at fibromyalgia specifically. So I don't want to knock anyone out there, because there's been some amazing primary care physicians, MDs, that I've heard that are really doing deep dives and helping patients within fibromyalgia. Doesn't necessarily have to be functional medicine, but I think understanding the concepts of functional medicine, looking at root cause, precision medicine, personalized medicine towards your own genetics, your epigenetics, and environmental factors, lifestyle factors, and putting it all together to create a personalized plan for you. That's the key for functional medicine. And hopefully we can get more providers to understand that, so we're not all in a box, because it's going to be very different. And that's why it gets so complicated. But I'm excited for that journey. And that's why these talks are good. So we just keep educating, like keep sharing with each other. Be open-minded to discussions on education. We don't have a cure, but it all combines together. It works one on top of each other to get us to a better state of health. And that way we just learn from each other, and we create a community of learning. Is important. That's what we love to do. So I didn't want to make this long-winded. So I just wanted to share some really cool food swaps, because I loved that I could just put that refrigerated spaghetti squash. It was all already cut up. I could put it up in the microwave. I could take my fork and dig it around, and then just dump some pasta sauce that we had made from the stove, and voila, I had some spaghetti squash. So that was really easy. And even the solely, if you just put it in hot water. I would love to hear from people too that use Instant Pot. I actually have one in the garage. I need to break it out, because I've heard that that's a great way to cook. So I've heard a lot of comments on that. That makes it easier. So if you're an Instant Pot fan and you want to like leave some comments, please share if you have some good recipes that are gluten-free. I think I get a good dig up. I have a friend that, two friends that wrote a gluten-free Instant Pot book. Got to return to that, maybe get some more ideas of how we can explore that, make things easier in the kitchen for all of us, to embrace adding more vegetables and gluten-free protocols and stuff that we need. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Please feel free to keep sending questions either to my personal accounts or the Support Fibro accounts or Nerdy Health accounts. Going to be doing some more crossovers with Nerdy Health. Because I am a board certified functional medicine health coach, I just feel like we need to get this information out far and wide, so that you have the education you need, you empower you to make whatever changes you need, and ask questions. Please, there's a lot of ways to go around this. I love food shopping, understanding, doing food grocery tours. That's what I was doing a lot of before the pandemic, on the road with people, just talking through stuff. So it's okay to reach out and ask questions. But have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to everyone soon. Bye.